What you guys, got another video here for you on what is ransomware and how can you prevent it and how can you stop it from encrypting all your precious data. Now, we live in a digital age where we keep loads and loads of photographs and videos on our computer, and if you don't protect that data, then you could be hit with ransomware, which will encrypt all of your data, and it deletes the key on the computer, and then obviously the person who holds that key holds you to ransom, and they normally ask for a load of money to get your data back, and there's no guarantee that that's going to happen. Now, Acronis has come up with Acronis Ransomware Protection software, which you can get for free. It's also embedded in the Acronis backup software suite, which you can purchase, which I'd strongly recommend you do. This comes with 5 GB of cloud-free storage, backup to the cloud, and you can also recover your files and block attacks, and I'll show you how all this works. So let's download the free version. Now, I have got the 1 TB cloud storage on here, which is from my Acronis backup suite, so they're letting me use that on this free program. So if you have got a backup suite, you will be able to use that. You can see here dual protection means your data is twice as safe. That means it will try to monitor processes and also have your data backed up in the cloud. You can see 400% increase in new strains of ransomware this year. Now, if you know my channel, you'll know I've been doing ransomware videos for many years. You can see here this software claims that it can immediately stop ransomware attacks, and this sort of software is essential in 2019, especially for businesses here. You can see easily restores any affected file, and I'll show you that in action as well. You get free 5 GB of storage there as well with this one. Now, obviously 5 GB is not vast amounts, but if you're just looking for photographs and stuff like that, then this might be a useful piece of software to you. You can always upgrade to more space a little bit later on if you want to do that. So let's get this installed. So I've got the Acronis Ransomware Protection. Now, this is not the backup suite here. This does allow you to back up to the cloud, but it's not their full-blown suite where this is embedded into the software. If you watch one of my videos on Acronis software, you'd have seen me show you that part and feature, which I said I will cover in another video. So let's take a look at it. We're going to need to create an account, and if you have one already, you can use that. It's for home or business, as you can see here. And just a little tutorial here. It shows you basically what it does. It's got a monitoring system and also safe processes here. You can also block stuff yourself manually if you want to, and you can allow things through by hitting the trust button. I'll show you that a little bit later on in the video. But as you can see here, we're going through here. This is the number of safe processes, and this is the number of processes that show signs of ransomware. So they're showing you here, and there will be a little red line here that shows up. So they're showing you ways of detecting ransomware. And you can see Acronis gives you 5 GB free storage here. So I've got a folder here full of images. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload these to the Acronis server so they're backed up and safe. Now, this will be all your precious data, whether it'll be videos, images and stuff like that. And this can obviously be a safety net for you as well. You can either drag and drop them in here, or you can add them manually. Now, I've already uploaded them, but I'm just going to show you how to quickly do it so you can see how it works with the ransomware software from Acronis here. So I've got mine in the pictures area here, and I'm going to select that folder, and up it will go to the cloud. Now, you can change the settings here. It tells you how much space you've got available for use. Now, obviously you can buy more space available to yourself. So if you've got a load of files and data that you want to upload to the server, then I would advise you to buy more space. It's very cheap and affordable, and it's well worth doing because it does come with that ransomware protection. And if you know what ransomware is, it will get on the system via emails, by dodgy unsavory sites where you vacate, and you just go on there, and what will happen is you're going to end up getting infected, and that will be really bad for you, because once it gets onto the system, if you don't have the protection, it's going to start to encrypt all of your files. And I've seen it happen many times in the past, and it's not good. And once you get hit by ransomware, it can be really soul destroying, and it can bring companies or small companies to their knees. Now, you can see here we do have the files now uploaded to the Acronis server. They are safe. They're up on their server there, and that's our backup. So if we did get hit with ransomware, even if it managed to sneak through the net and encrypt all of our data, we still have a safety net with them up on the Acronis server. So let's move on to the next stage. Now I'm going to be testing a bunch of different ransomware on this system to see whether Acronis can block this ransomware and stop it infecting the system and encrypting all of our data. So let's go ahead and give it some tests. Now I've got a bunch of ransomware here, some old, some new, and we're going to just click on them and see what happens and whether the Acronis Ransomware Protection software can stop these from infecting our system and encrypting all of our precious data. Now remember, I'm just going to go through here and rename these to executable files, and if you're wondering why they have been deleted by any antivirus software, that's because there's no antivirus software running on the system. All that's protecting this computer right now is Acronis, and that is why I wanted to do this test. So I'm just going to click on a bunch of these and we're going to see what happens. Now some of these might not work because they may be dead and they might not be active, but some of them will be active, and you'll start to see Acronis do its thing and try to protect our data. Now it's already popping up with some boxes here, and the pop-up box is saying possible ransomware detected. What do you want to do? Block it or trust it? I'm going to block it, and it will say, do you want to recover your files now? This will then recover the files that are on the system. So it's recovered 6 files there, and I'm going to go through and I'll show you a little bit more in detail with that recovery process a little bit later on. You can see here all the files are still on the system, and that ransomware tried to penetrate the system and encrypt all my data, which obviously I don't want it to do. So if this did happen in a real life scenario, what I'd advise you to do is shut the PC down immediately and disconnect it from the internet and don't turn it back on. Now you can see here we do have a red line here, and that means there's been some sort of nasty process running and some activity of ransomware on the system. So what we're going to do is rename this one to executable and run this one as well. Now these are all different types of ransomware, okay, different variants of ransomware, and you can see it's doing a pretty good job at blocking these already. Now some of these, as I said, will be blocked straight away here. It's down to the user to say block or trust. That's entirely up to you, and this can be also a user error. If you say trust, it will then let that on the system and run, and you've got to be careful. I will show you that in action a little bit later on in the video so you can see exactly how this system works. Now I wanted to show you the full process here so you can get an idea of how this works and how dangerous ransomware is, and I'll show you how it actually penetrates the system and how it can actually encrypt all your data, and how Acronis can actually restore that data a little bit later on. So you can see here I'm just clicking on these randomly and just trying to get these to run. Now there's a lot of them on here. Obviously you're not going to be downloading and clicking on files at this sort of rate that I'm doing here, so I hope you're not, otherwise you will be in danger of getting infected. So how does this ransomware get on the system? Well, it's normally spread through phishing emails, so people will send out emails randomly to people, and it contains malicious attachments, and basically people click on those attachments and it will drop ransomware onto the system, and you will then get encrypted by this ransomware. It could be many different types of ransomware. Also drive-by downloading, you go to unsavory sites, downloading stuff from there, and you can end up getting infected via that type of attachment or download that you're doing there. Crack software, any sort of infected website even might have those there. Now you can see here we've got 5 monitored links here and safe 92 processes. You can see already if I look here, they're being monitored, and these are ransomware running on the system, and Acronis is saying to me, what do you want to do with these? And it will pop up eventually with a box, but you can click on these and just manually block them if you want to. You can see it's dropped a file in the roaming folder, in the app data roaming section, which is where the payload is normally dropped onto, and then it gets onto the system, and you can block these from here. Now normally these running clean processes from Windows would not be doing this to your system. Acronis knows how to monitor the system and knows what malicious processes are and what good processes are. So you're not going to have to worry about that too much. It just knows that they are malicious processes running on the system, and it's just telling you what you want to do. Do you want to block them or do you want to trust them? If it's something you trust, then you can let it go through, but be very careful when you're allowing processes to run. You can see here there's another one right here. I'm going to click on this here and we'll see what it does to the system. Now sometimes there's a bit of a delay when you click on a ransomware. You might click on something in an email attachment and it might be dormant, and all of a sudden the file will suddenly kick into action and it will start to infect the system. And this is exactly what sometimes happens when people click on stuff and they can't remember when they clicked on it, and it might have been a couple of hours ago and it's now dropped that onto the system. So you can see here our data is still all intact. There's no malicious ransomware that's encrypted all of our data, and I've clicked on a bunch of these. There's a load of them that I've clicked on, and it's done a very good job at blocking all of those. Now you can see the antivirus program, which is Windows Defender, is all turned off, and the bulk of the work has been done by Acronis itself. It stopped all of those ransomwares from infecting the system. And you can see here down the bottom right hand side, Acronis Ransomware Protection is running and it's on. And I want to show you some more of this ransomware stuff to show you what to watch out for when you're doing it. Now I've got a bunch of ransomware here, as you can see, loads and loads of different types of ransomware, and never rely on any one piece of software to 100% protect you, because that is a really bad mistake to make, because any sort of ransomware could be new sort of strain and it could get through on your system and infect all of your system. Now with Acronis, what it will do, it allow you to back up all your data and drop it back onto the system. But I want to show you something here. So we're going to go through here and click on a bunch of more of these ransomware. Now this is the bit I wanted to show you where Acronis will actually pull down the files and recover your data. So let me just quickly infect it with another ransomware here, another type of ransomware. Some of these are not working, so I just need to go through here and click on some other ones here to make sure that it's going to block them. So let me go into here, drag this onto the system, and we'll run it, and we'll just get it to do its thing and try to encrypt. Now you can see here automatically possible ransomware detected. It's asking us what we want to do, whether we want to block it or whether we want to trust it, and also recover the files. You can see the files in the location what it's trying to recover. If I open this up, you can see it's encrypted these files and it's already started to do its process, but Acronis has stopped that in its tracks. Now I click on recover the files and away comes back all the files that were just encrypted by that ransomware, and it's pulled those files back on and recovered them. Now if that would have got right the way through, it would have completely encrypted the whole of that computer, which would not have been good for a person who hasn't got Acronis protection on their system. So you can see how strong Acronis is at recovering your data and stopping that malicious process from doing its damage to the system. Now I want to show you the importance of making sure you click on block when it gives you that message. So let's go ahead and reinfect it with that same ransomware, and you can see here instead of saying block, I'm going to say trust, and we're going to go trust here. Now I wouldn't advise you to do trust because it will allow that payload to drop on the system and encrypt your data. And let me just show you here how this works. So I've allowed it to go through by hitting the trust, and I'm going to go always trust this process. If you do this and it's a malicious piece of malware or ransomware, it's going to then encrypt all of the data on your drive. As you can see here, it's now gone ahead and allowed that to go through because you've allowed it to go through, and you don't want to do that. Even with Acronis, you've got to be careful when you're saying allow or block. You always need to know what you're doing. If you click on the wrong item and say allow through and it was a malicious process, you normally have to look for the process which is being monitored by Acronis and see what it's saying. If it's saying it looks malicious, then don't allow it to go through, because once it goes through, you're going to be in big trouble. So do not do that, otherwise you're going to end up with all your data gone. Now what I could do here is reinstall Windows and pull my data down from the cloud back onto the computer, Now I did do this one here, which was a bit weird. I clicked on it and you can see I've got all the data here. I just wanted to show you this one here. Now Acronis didn't detect this one, and it didn't stop it from running, and it did actually infect the system. And I wanted to quickly show you here how sometimes even the best software will always be tricked by some new ransomware. Now this is an old ransomware. This is 2016, this ransomware. I run it and you can see here it's already detected it being monitored, but it didn't stop it. And what it did, the box didn't pop up on the bottom right hand side. This Word document popped up, and the ransomware had already dropped on the system and encrypted every file on the system. Now obviously I have a cloud backup of all that data, but you just have to be very, very careful, because obviously there is going to be ransomware where this piece of software or any other piece of software might not be able to stop, and because there are new strains, and you just got to be very, very careful. And if you see here, all of a sudden it's popped up on the system, it's running. Acronis is still running, but it didn't give me the opportunity to block it or trust it. It just comes straight onto the system. Now if it did that, I never clicked on the trust button. This has dropped on the system, and this is not to say that Acronis is bad. This is just to show you that no software was 100% bulletproof and is going to protect you 100%. You always have to rely on backups, and this is why it's important even for Acronis to have a piece of software that's trying to protect you from ransomware. Remember, I've bombarded this system with a ton of ransomware, and one of them's actually slipped through the net. Now obviously I do have backups, which is a good thing, and if you look here at all the data is being encrypted, and I've not blocked it and I've not trusted it. It's just come on and dropped onto the system. I wanted to show you that because I think it's important to show you that not to rely on any one piece of software and to think that you are never going to get hit with ransomware, because that is not the case. There is tons and tons of different ransomware out there, and it only needs one that hasn't got the right type of protection, or it has a different approach to infecting or infiltrating the system, and it will drop straight on the system and infect the PC and encrypt all your data, as you can see here, which is going to be devastating to someone who doesn't have backups or who doesn't have any sort of line of protection to stop this from happening. So that's why it's important. Now obviously if I went into managed processes here early enough, I might have been able to block that process, but the nag box didn't pop up down the bottom right hand side to say there's a malicious process running, do you want to block it? And by then it's too late. It's already dropped onto the system and encrypted all the files. Now it's not giving me the option to recover these files, so the only other option I can think of here is to reformat the system and download all your content from the cloud from Acronis, and that would be obviously a bit of a nightmare to do, but it's better than losing all your data altogether. So in this case it didn't give me the chance to recover data the way it was doing it before. It's just allowed this to slip on the system, and I've seen many different types of ransomware protection software do exactly the same thing, and I was bombarding it with a bunch of different ransomware, and it's just the case that one of them has slipped through, which is sometimes what happens when you're testing it so vigorously the way I was. And you can see here there is the file there, and if I would have blocked that file manually, it probably wouldn't have dropped on the system, but it didn't give me much time to go down there and block it manually. It just actually you might not be actually looking at that screen at any one time. You may have clicked on a file that may be in the background, no box has popped up, and it's actually infiltrated the system, and that's why you've got to be very, very careful. And you can see here that is the file there, so if I'd have blocked that file it wouldn't have run, and it would have stopped it if I'd have managed to seen it. But if you're away from the computer and you've clicked on that attachment, you know, it's going to be too late. Now obviously I've blocked it now, but it's too late. The files have been encrypted, and you would have to go through the whole process of reinstalling Windows and dragging all your data down from Acronis website from the cloud. So at least you've got your data. A lot of people that have this happen to them don't have their data, and they've lost it, and it's all encrypted, and the only other option is to try the attempt to recover their data via paying the ransom, which I would never advise you to do. it's a real bad practice to start paying criminals to get your data back, and even if you did pay them, you've got no guarantee that you're going to get that data back. So, and that sort of money is going to all sorts of other types of crimes, so never pay for your data to be recovered. It's not worth it. Okay, so lessons learned. Now we do have the data up on the cloud here, so I could literally download all of this data here if I wanted to and recover my information quite easily, as you can see here. And that's why it's important to have more than one backup on the system. So I would advise you not just to only have one cloud backup here, which you've got with Acronis, to have another type of backup on, say, a NAS drive somewhere, and one on an external drive or something like that. So you've got 3 different locations to have backups on, so you don't ever lose all your data. There's always somewhere where you can pull your data back from. Now I know it's been a long video, but I wanted to make sure I covered every avenue of ransomware and ransomware protection to make sure that you don't fall foul to this particular type of ransomware, which is going to encrypt all your data. This is the one that slipped through the net. It just basically encrypted all of the data, and you can see this post was done in 2016, and I've done a video on this particular type of ransomware already. I was just clicking on a bunch of them, and you can see here that's exactly what's got through the net. This is the one that's running on the system right now, and of course these links will be probably dead now, so if you clicked on these, you're probably never going to get your ransomware. So if someone's still got this on the internet somewhere and it's still live, your only other option would be to try and find a decryption tool, and to be honest, the chances of you finding encryption tools for some of the latest stuff is not that great. And you can see there's not one listed here for this particular type of ransomware. So really, if you haven't got no backups of that particular type of data, then you're going to lose it, and that's it, you're done for. And if you're a small business, that can be very crippling and even make you go bankrupt. Now you can see I've already downloaded one of the files from Acronis website, and it's now working, so I could do a fresh install and get all my data back from Acronis. Anyway, that's going to be about it for this video. That is the Acronis Ransomware Protection software. That also comes built into the backup suite as well, which is the Acronis True Image. If you're interested in those links, I'll leave them in the video description. My name has been Brian from briteccomputers.co.uk. Hope this video has been useful to you. If it has, chuck it a like, and I shall see you again for another video real soon. Thanks again for watching. Bye for now. Now, if you haven't subscribed yet, hit the big red subscribe button on my YouTube channel and hit the bell notification button next to that to be notified when we upload new videos.